Let your quacks and newspapers be cutting their capers about curing the vapors, the scratch and the gout. With their medical potions, their serums and lotions, upholding their notions, they're mighty put out. Who can tell the true physic to all that's pathetic, and pitch to the devil cramp, colic, and spleen? And you'll know it, I think, if you take a big drink with your mouth to the brink of a jug of poitín. So stick to the crater, the best thing in nature, for sinking your sorrows and raising your joys. Oh, what botheration, no dose in the nation can give consolation like poitín, me boys.
That's awesome.
Well done, man.
Well, one verse out of many, so there you go.
No, you did more than enough, man.
Okay,
That was
okay.
amazing.
There you
So
go.
it's a good call.
You're a brave
Totally
man.
a good call. Thanks so much, Matt, for opening up the show.
Happy.
Welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks, Manny.
It's nice to have you. I know that we were chatting quite a bit and getting you guys on and just talk about shop, and I'm looking forward to this. I want to find out more about what you guys are up to, and like we were saying off mic, it's important that we continue these conversations, right?
Absolutely.
The younger generation needs it. I think the older generation also needs it too. I think everybody in construction needs these conversations, right?
I totally agree.
They're valuable, right? So we've got community builders in the house here right now. So it's communitybuilders.co. You can find them on www, and then also on IG under the same heading, communitybuilders.co. And then also you guys are on Facebook and on TikTok too, or no, not yet?
No, not
No,
TikTok.
not TikTok.
No, but LinkedIn. Yeah, you guys are on LinkedIn for sure.
Yeah.
And then I know that we got introduced through Richard at 21 Cock, right?
181.
181.
Yep.
Oh, okay, 181. You gotta, like, sometimes people gotta remember there's a lot of messages come in, and I'm 52, and so I try to keep up, and then they're always usually the messages start with like, yeah. So back to that conversation we were having, Manny. I was like, yeah, when we were having that conversation, and I gotta kind of recollect everything first, but
Context is important.
it's important. Quick shout out to Bins Plus T-shirt. I'm wearing that. Thank you guys for the tee and the cap. I'll wear
welcome.
it proudly on one future show.
Sweet.
As everybody knows, if anybody gets a peek underneath the table, there's lots of tees underneath the table that I just grab and I throw on for the next show. So, are you looking for a sustainable and durable real wood solution to elevate your next project? Let me introduce you to the gold standard. Thermary, the world's largest and most trusted manufacturer of thermally modified wood and sauna materials. Their wood is like the superhero version of regular wood, stronger, more stable, and ready to take on whatever Mother Nature throws its way. With a wide range of thermally modified wood products from decking and cladding to sauna and statement walls, when you choose Thermary, you're not just investing in quality, you're investing in the health of our planet too. Join countless architects, designers, builders, and homeowners who have trusted Thermary to bring their vision to life. The best way to fully experience the Thermary difference is to hold the real thing in your hands, so visit their website today at www.thermaryusa.com and also find them on IG at ThermaryUSA. Contractors, it's time to empower your business with Shelta Tech implementation. Shelta is offering a free meeting to tackle your biggest pain points head on. Their goal, to develop a custom company app that's built just for you, solving your pain points, streamlining your processes, making your workday smoother. Here's the scoop. There's a $15,000 digital adoption grant available, and Shelta is an expert at helping you secure it. This isn't just funding, it's your stepping stone into a new era of digital efficiency. By your second meeting, you'll get a tailor-made company playbook, a software prototype designed with your input, project tracking, real-time budget management, and daily logs, all integrated into a single app. It's tech that works for you, not the other way around. Shelta isn't just offering tech, they're offering transformation. Join the community of 93 subcontractors who have already stepped up their game with Shelta Tech. 2 meetings, countless opportunities, ready to make a move? Visit Shelta.app. Let's pave the way to smarter, tech-driven future. Shelta Technology, custom tech solutions for the modern contractor. This podcast is brought to you by Redmond Distributing, a proud family-owned and operated HVAC supplier, serving Ontario for the past 22 years. With warehouses conveniently located in both Mississauga and Ottawa, they specialize in providing premium HVAC and hearth equipment across the region. Redmond Distributing is committed to supporting HVAC businesses with their dedicated customer service, reliable warranties, free training sessions in their operational facility, inventory management, and free delivery to most locations in Southern Ontario. For a partnership with true HVAC equipment specialists, choose Redmond Distributing. Explore more at www.redmonddistributing.com. Do you dread the office? Are you spending your personal time on paperwork? Join the club. The good news is there's a solution that isn't hard or overwhelming. With SyncedUp's estimating and job tracking software, you can plan for it and hit your profit goals, all while cutting your estimating time by up to 90%. Do you know where your money is going? Are you sure you're even making money? SyncedUp will show you exactly where your money is going with its simple budgeting tool, revealing those cash leaks so you can take back control of your business. Do you wonder if all those payroll hours are making you money or costing you money? SyncedUp tracks your unbillable labor, helping you optimize for project efficiency and ensuring each job is profitable. At SyncedUp, they're here to help contractors thrive, not just survive. Get a budgeting consultation with a SyncedUp expert looking over your shoulder to help you optimize your company's budget for free using the link in the show notes. If you love what you see, you can use the TCL discount and get 20% off on your first 6 months. Annual plan is required. Just click on the link in the show notes to book your call with the sales team and mention the TCL podcast. Check out syncedup.com and at syncedup on IG to level up your business. Choose Dahl for your plumbing needs and discover the peace of mind that comes with their unwavering reliability and exceptional service. Experience the Dahl difference and join the growing community of contractors who trust in their expertise and rely on their products. Check out Dahl at www.dahlvalve.com and on social at dahlvalve. Where do you guys want to begin? Whose idea was it? Me?
Yeah.
He's pointing. You guys are pointing to each other. We're not in a courtroom. Whose idea was it?
Matt brought the opportunity to me, and as soon as he mentioned the construction life, I was like, well, this is the most serious podcast we've ever been on, and we really honestly appreciate the opportunity to
no problem.
amplify what we're doing a little bit.
We're not serious.
No, we're casual, right? We're just casual in here, I hope. But where do we want to start? I think the difference of community builders is we have such a unique model. And that's kind of what we're bringing to the construction game right now is solutions. So we're a social enterprise.
Yeah.
We're a nonprofit. We're construction based, right? So it's a big mouthful, but really as a social enterprise, what we're doing is solving community based problems. So two of the biggest problems right now in our country and in our province are affordable housing and the trades deficit, right? So
massive problems.
That's at the heart of everything that we do. We run a trades training program for people with barriers to employment, and we're trying to encourage more people who historically haven't been participating in the labor market to choose construction as their career, right? And it's a great it's a great career, and it's a great time to get into this because there's no shortage of need, and this is a real career that can lift people out of poverty, right?
Isn't the stigma done, or I might have been out of the game too long, that the stigma is still there? Like blue collar is a fallback. Like if you're not smart, you're in construction. Those whole stigma points, are they not done?
We're climbing out of it for sure.
Yeah, I get the sense.
I think it's just a little bit about like what we were talking about earlier. There's like some generational gaps, right? I often just see people banging their head against the wall saying nobody wants to work. All the nonsense around construction that you just hear young people are stupid, they don't want to learn, all these things. And then on vice versa, old people don't give us the time of day, whatever. There's such a need to like connect those two groups and create workspaces that are a little bit more welcoming, right, and inclusive, and trying to understand and be progressive and move forward, right, and not stay stuck, right?
So what are some of the hurdles that you guys are seeing when you are engaging with the younger generation? When I say younger, I guess I'm talking about late teens, early 20s, when they're considering a career in construction. Because obviously they've got their circle of friends that are influencing them on where to go in their path, right? And once they start diagnosing the whole crypto world and social media influencer and that other crap, and they realize, well, maybe I won't be doing that, and maybe I should consider a career in trades. Like, what are you guys seeing from this generation?
I think one of the big considerations, is having realistic expectations.
Yeah.
Stepping in, right? The people who are coming into our training program, when they graduate and they step out, they're not going to be a Red Seal carpenter, right? They're going to be stepping into an entry-level position. They're going to be stepping into a laborer role, but with a whole set of knowledge, a whole set of skills and understanding about what it's going to take to succeed in the trades, but they need to understand, they need to expect that it's a long path.
Yeah.
Right. They're just starting out on that. So sometimes there's a bit of a conversation around that perspective, that they can't step out of a training program and expect to be earning top dollar right off the bat. That
Where do you
they
think
can't
they're
be,
getting that messaging from? Is it just a generation of like, it's now, it has to happen today? Or is it other people telling them online?
I mean, honestly, you can't turn on the TV or read a newspaper without knowing that there's a labor shortage, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that that's now on people's radar, that this is a real thing. And when they're trying to look at a career right off the bat, you know there is, like, at least you know there is the opportunity to earn and grow in the career, and that you have job security in this work, right? I just see so many people like now coming to our program a little bit wide-eyed, because they're like, here's an opportunity where I can work with my hands, right? And because of the old messaging about that, you know, people should be going into more white-collar careers and going to school and all these things, there's such a pool of people that aren't interested in that, right? And they're not really sure what to do. And by kind of reaching them, we're solving, you know, our part in the labor shortage, because we know we're so short on people, but we're not reaching to the different demographics that could really see themselves in this career. So we're really like opening their eyes to this as a possibility for us, and it's incredibly rewarding to see that when they come in, and you know, we all know what it was like to be a laborer in the first place, right? You get yelled at, you get called stupid, whatever. You get to walk into our training center, get a full lowdown from Matt on what the top tools are, like what the names are. They get to hold them. They get to try that all in the safety of our training center before they even go on site and work with our teams, right? So just building people's confidence. I always say, like, I see people come into our training center with their heads down, not really sure kind of what this is all about and where they're going to go, and they leave with their heads up, right? It's we're building.
Concern of looking like they're foolish or something like that?
I
like,
think so. I think
but
everybody.
every tradesperson does that in the morning when they show up, when they roll in.
100%, right?
They sometimes do it 10 times during the day. It's just, I want these kids to understand that tradespeople are not perfect. We make mistakes, but it's how you solve those mistakes.
Matt, I'm paraphrasing this quote, but maybe you remember because I got it from you, but it was something along the lines of, do you remember how bad you sucked when you first started?
Oh, yeah, I do.
Probably sucked worse.
Yeah, it's true.
Right. Yeah, we are all human, right? We're all making mistakes, and I'm not sure if it's the, I'll say our trainees or that younger generation, you know, coming in who are looking at the veterans on site, looking at the journeymen, the master electricians, the master tradespeople, and putting them on a bit of a pedestal, right? They're obviously in this role, therefore this is the person, you know, to whom I'm going to look up and really is going to be providing me with this knowledge to help me move forward. I joke with my team in the training center, and like I tell them, like, I'm a bundle of smooth moves just waiting to happen. If you think I don't make mistakes, just stick around for 5 minutes more. It's going to happen, right? It happens to all of us. So yeah, and that's part of that lesson, part of that learning for our trainees is we bake into the program the fact that the expectation you're going to make mistakes, you're going to mess up, right? We all do. The interesting thing is, what I'm interested in is, what do you do next, right? What happens after that?
It's true. I would love to see on social media from a lot of the skilled tradespeople that I come across and I see and I pay attention to, a lot of this generation or even the community doing more throwback and showing photos or even showing videos of when their first project, first year, first whatever,
right?
And dissect it, because I guarantee you were holding tools in a manner that you were not supposed to be holding them. You were probably doing things that you were not supposed to be doing.
I think every single one of us can think back without much effort to major mistakes, major screw ups.
You would just be a red marker over everything. It was just
Absolutely.
like wrong.
Absolutely. And this is the danger that a lot of the trainees, a lot of the people entering in face, is that they're getting the highlight reel off of Instagram or off of TikTok. They're getting what has been curated, right? The best of the best, right? So you don't see, you know, what it is to work, typically speaking, what it is to work in February, you know, up framing that roof.
Yeah, we've all been
right?
there, man.
You don't see the the 20 years it took that person to get there. You don't see all the foul ups, all the screw ups that took, and those misdirections, right? You're seeing what they picked for you to see. And it leads to a lot of misunderstandings and misperceptions.
Yep. I totally agree.
You guys got me thinking back on like my first portfolio when I first started my own construction company. You know, you think about the pictures on your phone. It was like, did a small deck, you know, did a backsplash.
But it was majestic.
Yeah.
In your opinion, right?
We weren't always doing custom homes and modular homes and all these big things that people like to see, right? It took a progression. And you think about the people along the way that did invest in you in healthy ways to teach you the craft, right?
I never want anybody to ever see, because it was never a camera rolling, when I was actually installing crown molding for the very first time and making the cuts and trying to get the joints. I was like, the amount of profanity that was coming out of me was more than the amount of nails that I was using. It was just insane, right?
Yep.
Like, but you learn, once you figure it out, it's like the light was on. But it took
Absolutely.
some time. It took a person to kind of share that thought, right? And then you started learning. I wanted to ask you guys, what is the direct result if we don't increase the labor shortage? Is it primarily you just will not be building what we need to be built, whether it's industrial, commercial, high-rise, residential? If we don't have the workforce, we're not going to have these places built.
I think that's part of it. You can probably speak to that. I think the other is that you're going to experience a knowledge gap, right? You want people to step in, not just after people have retired,
Yeah.
right? You want them there now. You want people stepping in now so that that knowledge transfer is happening. Otherwise, you get a breakdown. There's going to be a loss of overall industry knowledge. And how do you recover from that? Not quickly, not easily.
No.
Honestly, man, there's no plan B for me. I know what I'm trying to do, and I keep focused on that. I don't see how we don't address this. And you can see that it's everyone's top priority, right? They're throwing so much money and information to people right now to get into the trades. Like, everybody knows that this needs to happen.
It does, but I'm not seeing a clear path. And I know that, and I don't want to really get political, but the budget was announced, right? Mm-hmm. And not a single sentence about labor or housing. Money was all allocated to future expenses that have nothing to do that's going to contribute to that. And they're doing what I guess a bad builder would do. Instead of trying to solve the problem, let's try to find solutions that will speed up the process. But that's not solving the problem. You can't do that. Like we said earlier, like it takes a certain time. Even if you talk to any GC or any person that's in construction, that new person is a process where it's like ideally 5 to 7 years before that person is a tradesperson.
Yep.
Right? Valuable tradesperson. So it's like, even if you get them out of the gate and they get on the job site, they're going to be green as hell in the very beginning. They need to learn these skills. So there is a huge hump. So if we're talking about we're in dire straits right now, what's it going to be like 5-7 years from now if we don't increase the labor force? My biggest concern, and I've said this on the show several times, is keeping them. That's the challenge.
Yeah.
So I would just say, like, I think that there's ways where we can turn the volume up a little bit to like help people learn quicker. And what I mean by that is, like, you know, a lot of us got into construction and we're not teachers, we're not professors, we're not mentors. But when you focus on that a little bit more, like leading yourself and helping lead others, you can really dial up the timeline that you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
And when I talk to all my friends in the trades, I say things like, what would it take for you to hire trainees coming out of our program? And the first thing that they do is they laugh and they say, can they show up on time and can they be off their cell phone? And
those are the 2 points that come up a lot.
So we're really focused on employment readiness. Like, we want people to come out and be ready to work, to understand their employer and the employer's needs, to be able to understand what it takes to advance and how to learn. You're going to be learning your career for the rest of your life, right? But it's those key fundamental things, and just that ability to, for employers out there, just change your mindset a little bit around, you know, that nobody wants to work in these things, because that's what keeps you stuck in that problem, right?
Yeah.
If that's your mindset, then you're
Well,
going
that's
to
what
be
you're
a
going to see.
self-fulfilling
You're going to
prophecy.
see it without actually being there. You'll see it.
Yeah. So like some of the things that, like, and again, I know why people don't take apprentices sometimes, because they've been burned, right?
Yeah.
They invest a lot into people and then they don't show. And that's why you see a lot of one man kind of shows where they say I don't really.
I've had
I
guys
want that
in
free
here.
life.
We talked about that, and I don't agree with that argument. I don't think that's a valid point where I've spent time and effort trying to train this person and give them what I can knowledge-wise, and then they just pissed off and went.
There's a reason why they went.
It's not because of the way you're teaching them. It's not because of this. There's probably a million underlining reasons behind that, but the employer can't fall back on that and use that as an excuse. That's not a fair assessment on that situation. And also, all the employer should be looking at, well, I got to learn myself, and then I could probably teach a little better. And like
Yes,
you said,
100%.
like maybe I should become a better mentor. Maybe I should become a better teacher. Maybe I said something wrong. Maybe I didn't really present my thoughts clearly. Like maybe there is some fault on the employment side of things, is what I'm trying to say, right? Which I think there is.
Absolutely. The other way of looking at it too is if they left, did they completely leave the industry? Did they just leave you? Right?
Yeah.
If they didn't leave the industry, if they've just stepped over to a different company, they're still there, right? That's an investment that's helping the industry overall. And the one thing that I think it was Richard Branson who said, you know, around that argument of like not taking people on or not training them, but what if you don't train them and they stay? Like, what's the bigger liability?
That's a very valid point, man. That's
Right.
like that's scary in itself.
100%.
Wow. How much are you guys seeing, and I guess I don't know if there's a term, but hopscotching, right? And I'm not talking about actually playing the game, but are you getting a lot of people that are choosing a certain trade and then they don't like it and then they want to choose another one? I don't think there's a lot of that going on, is there?
I don't necessarily see a lot of that.
Well, two different things. Like for us, we're a general contractor, so we're doing like the full gamut, a little bit of everything in residential construction, and that's what the training program focuses on too. So our guys have the opportunity to drift into different trades. We're kind of doing renovations, so to speak. So with the trainees, often we see somebody come in and think they know what they want to do, but then they get to try the other trades, and they usually leave doing something different. I see a lot of that, but yeah, not too many jumping from trade to trade.
With the amount of time that the investment of time in an apprenticeship, if you're going to go down one of those paths of electrical, plumbing, HVAC, I don't find people usually skip in and around of that because you're putting a serious amount of time and schooling into that. And it's not, but at the same time, we have in Canada, at least, you have that ability. You can do that if you want. It's not like in Europe. I have a buddy of mine who did a term working over in Germany. And I don't know if it's just Germany, but I know in certain parts of Europe, there's more of a guild system. So where you pick that trade, you go through the schooling, that is yours.
It's
like
a commitment.
you are not hopscotching. It's just not allowed, right?
Yeah, which I kind of think is nice.
I agree.
Right?
I agree.
I just like I go back to the European way. Like roofers are using scaffolding. Like there's a lot more. There's a whole crew that's attached to that. Like a carpenter is a carpenter. Like you can do framing, you can do trim, you can do everything. Like you're getting into the woodworking skills, and so same with masonry. Like you're diving into all kinds of stuff. So it's like that didn't really translate over here.
It's a guarantee of work for everybody.
Yeah, it is.
Right? You don't have necessarily one person doing a little bit of everything. There's benefits to that, right? It's nice being a general contracting company that does like that whole frame to finish approach, a little bit of everything, because it blends really beautifully with the training program.
Yeah.
It gives the trainees that opportunity to try their hand, dip their toes into a bunch of different pools to see like which one's the most comfortable, what resonates with me.
I probably wouldn't have had to go to college 4 times if I got to try something first. Right?
How many kids have you guys worked with? Like how many have crossed paths with you guys?
Through the training program?
Yeah.
So we take in 14. We've got two branches. There's we're out of Barrie, Midhurst, so we're in the Barrie office, and then we have a branch up in Sudbury. So 2 parts of the company. So the Barrie office takes in 14 trainees at a time. Sudbury takes in 8. I think we're standing at 170 trainees. Through the few years that we've been doing this that we've served.
It's a good amount. I can only assume the kids up there are better than the kids down here. I don't want to stereotype.
I wouldn't know.
I know, but I mean, I'm just trying to think of the core kids
So yeah,
versus more farmer labor out in the rural. No?
no, we're still getting
Yeah.
cities. Well, like a wide spectrum. So it's funny that you even said kids. So when we first got into this, we were focusing on youth, and we were really surprised at the demographics that were coming through. Like,
What were you guys getting? 30s?
oh man, we're getting tons of people in their 30s, 40s,
Really, huh?
Even up to 50s.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people in second career or who have been, released from prison, all kinds of things that people are coming and like they're having a hard time entering the labor market. So we're just getting like a full spectrum, which in my opinion is such a better learning opportunity because you get to learn from all these people who have been through different stages of life.
Yeah.
Right. And a lot of them that are coming in a little older are much more thankful and kind of impressing that down on the younger generation, like, giving them the whole, well, you haven't really lived, you should appreciate
Wait
this
till
a
you
lot
experience
more, right?
some of this
Yeah,
stuff,
100%,
right?
yeah.
That's I think the important, one of the important key differences between our program and some of the other programs out there is that we're focused on our demographic is people with barriers to employment, right? So people who that can be newcomers to Canada, that can be people with long histories of unemployment, lack of education. It could be people of color, people with who are on parole, people with past incarceration, women trying to get into the trade.
Yeah.
Right. In any legitimate barrier to employment, that's who we're focused on providing training for.
Yeah, but it's okay. So I go back to the stigma now. Is that still a stigma in the industry where it's like you're not really a product of society, so I'm going to look down upon you? And I want to argue that because I've had plenty of immigrants on the show, and I've had people who have been completely down on their luck, homeless, and I'm assuming without even asking, they probably have been in certain legal situations, incarceration and stuff like that. And it's none of my business, but I look at it like if you are interested in learning the skills and you have the passion for it, I don't care what has happened to you up until this moment. I really don't.
That's that's the progressive way of looking at it. It's getting better, but it's not all the way there.
It's not there, eh?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
When we got a lot of people that are coming through one of the halfway houses in our city, and like it's incredible, like the word of mouth that's spreading is like you have an opportunity when you get out, because all those guys are looking for work and sometimes they can't find it, or they're just in these dead end stuck jobs, and here they see that career. But I laugh all the time because if you actually knew who had a criminal record out there in construction, it's probably half of us, right? Like,
And the other half needs one.
right? Didn't get caught. So there are.
I'm
these
joking,
funny,
by the way.
Yeah, me too. There are these stereotypes around it, right? But we're just creating opportunities, man, and people are thriving. A little bit of support and community alongside you is really all you need to, I think, keep moving in the world, because not everybody has that family beside them or those friends propping them up, right? And sometimes just that little bit of encouragement or that little extra support, that's all people need.
It means a lot. I mean, first of all tradespeople get that on the job site on a constant. Like even if you messed up some little thing, you're still going to get someone who's going to come by. Don't worry about it. Tomorrow will be a lot better, right? And that little push helps, and it means a lot. So that's why I was saying at the beginning that the employers need to be learning as much as the kids coming in.
Absolutely.
Well, so-called newcomers coming in, right?
100%.
So it's valid to do that. But it's interesting that I think if you come across the good tradespeople, they see it and they see beyond those society kind of negatives, right? They'll give you a fair shot at that point. I think they will.
Yeah. You need to find new perspectives to look at it through, right? It's more than, like, this problem is more than just you. It's more than just me, right? It's more than just our businesses. Like you said, what happens if this doesn't come to fruition and we can't meet these targets? Like, if you care about your industry, you've got to try to move it forward in some way. So this is just the way that we're trying to do, and hopefully that message spreads a little bit.
It's the biggest disappointment for me is when I have conversations with mostly older trades. You can see it in their faces that they've already put the flag up, the white flag, and they just said, I'm not going to contribute to trying to solve this problem anymore. I'm done. I'm tapped out. I've shared what I could, but I'm not going to do it anymore. And it's hard to see that, right? And that's like right in line with people leaving the industry for whatever reasons, right? Or reason. And I try to convince them because I think that those older trades still have value to teach the younger trades. And it's not young age, it's young experience coming into the business, right? That's where I see it.
I find sometimes it's like they need a vehicle.
Hold it a little closer.
They need
just pull the mic closer.
Yeah. They need a vehicle to do something different, right? Like, yeah, maybe they feel burned out or they can't do much or they're only one person, but like we've had people come to community builders. Like we had our general super Mike Wall, this guy who's built thousands of homes, production homes, custom homes, and what he wanted to do with his last years in the industry was give back through us, right? So like
awesome.
There are those guys out there that are like I want my last best years to be something that I'm giving back, but they need an outlet or a vehicle to do that, right? So I think creating those things has been rewarding for me, and like watching what that did for our business in terms of like giving that skill set down to the next generation of our supervisors. Like it's been incredible, right? And so my message to those guys is you have something really valuable to give back. You just got to make some kind of connection to do it.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, why don't you guys share a little bit about your own construction history? Because I don't know too much about it, but if you guys want to share a little bit of yours.
Go for it.
So yeah, for me, I was really fortunate to grow up. My family had a construction company up in Sudbury, mostly heavy construction. So transportation, mining, construction, heavy equipment, all that.
Hard
kind of
work.
thing. Yeah. So I kind of was able to cut my teeth and dabble in all those different areas. But one summer I got the opportunity to work with a carpenter and build this CN bunkhouse. And that really like spoke to me. So that was the first time I kind of got right into the trades that way and got that opportunity. Moving forward from there, you know, I'll try to keep it a little shorter, but
No, man, I want to know the details.
the details. Yeah. Okay.
You can leave out the prison time.
So you know, I guess if we talk about mentors in our life, my uncle Jimmy, or I guess he'd be my great uncle, him and I and my dad built my dad's house when I was 22 years old. So it was really me and Jimmy and my dad. And so Uncle Jimmy was just that jack of all trades, really smart guy, knew a lot. And he didn't take it easy on me. Really pissed me off all the time, like every day. You know,
how old were you at the time?
Wasn't good enough. 22.
22. All right.
Wasn't good enough. So like that 16th, not good enough, right? And looking back on it, that's what made me good at what I do, right? So I really appreciate him to this day for that opportunity. And, you know, I think for my own personal journey, I was always trying to figure out why my work mattered. I'd always heard people say things like, there's these jobs where you whistle to work and you're happy. And I'm like, I don't know about that. Where does that happen?
Yeah.
Right. And so when I graduated college around that same time, I ended up doing a lot of traveling. So I kind of became obsessed with just traveling, coming back to work, making money, doing it again and doing it again. But what I realized is I have no roots here. Like I have to plant something. And so through a series of events, I just started working for myself after working for a friend for quite a long time in the renovations, but we just, you know, kind of weren't going in the same direction. So it was the right time to do my own thing. So I started my own contracting company in Barrie, away from the security of my family and their company, just trying to make my own way. My wife lived out here, so we decided we wanted to be near her family. Her mom had Alzheimer's at the time, so we were like, you know, they need us more than my family needs us. And so to my surprise, I was getting work in a community where I didn't know people, trying to plug in different settings to, you know, meet people. And I was getting work and things were going okay. But at the end of the day, I still felt that pressure, like it was all on me, you know, to run and grow this business, and dealing with clients, and, you know, it can be difficult. So I was always looking for something more. So going, you know, it's going okay, but like, I don't know really where this is going. And so I ended up becoming a global village leader for Habitat for Humanity after doing my first trip in Zambia. So I just loved it so much. I couldn't believe how rewarding it was. I'm working in a place where I got no power tools. It's 40 degrees out. Everything is much harder. I'm not getting paid, but it meant a lot to me to connect with the families and know that I was using my gifts and my talents to do something meaningful. But that really messed me up coming back home, because I'm like, well, what do I do with the 98% of my time where work is the thing that you do the most in your life, right?
Yeah,
so if
do.
you can't connect why your work matters, that's where you're going to get miserable, right? So again, kind of trying to search for purpose in my own work, I connected with my community and tried to figure out a way that I could give back that way. And I ended up volunteering for a charity in town that does transitional housing for women and children fleeing domestic violence. And that was great, but it opened my eyes massively to like these problems around the world of people needing housing are not just around, like they're everywhere. They're right in my community, right? And so it became very obvious right away to me that volunteers aren't going to solve this problem of affordable housing. So ended up talking with their CEO over at the charity, and the question we asked ourselves is, what would it look like if we did something different, right, in construction? And so in that very moment, there was a forgivable loan that was being offered through the municipality for the creation of second suites. And we thought, why don't we put our energy there? Every home in Barrie has the ability to put a second suite in it. They just relaxed the bylaws. They made it possible. And through doing some research, we realized that people were getting stuck. They didn't know how to talk to contractors. They didn't know how to get the designs, get through the permit process. So they're actually even returning the money. So they were able to get $25,000 towards the creation of a second suite back in the time where they were only, maybe $60,000. So you're almost halfway there.
Yeah.
And we thought, we could probably offer a turnkey solution. And we had all these trade guys that were working on our jobs, and you could tell they were good dudes, but they had that look in their eye too of they're burned out. They're trying to find more purpose in their work. And we ended up having this thing that we literally called the big meeting. We told everybody, hey, we're having a big meeting and we want you there and we want to tell you a little bit of something we're thinking about doing. And that was Community Builders. And literally out of like 20 guys and girls, 10 of them said, yeah, we're willing to go there with you guys.
Were the ideas just flowing in that big meeting? They were just like, let's do this, let's do this.
And it was all about like, how can we use our gifts and our talents, contribute to the needs of our community, do something with affordable housing. And then like, as that developed, we quickly realized like, how are we going to build all the housing that our community needs in this labor shortage? Ended up through a series of events bumping into a friend of mine now, Mark Soberano from Building Up in Toronto, and they do very similar work to us. And he was running this trades training program, and I just went, this is it. And I'm actually kind of doing something just like this without knowing it. I'm already going down to the YMCA and grabbing guys that are looking to get in the industry and need work experience. And like, what if we did something like to combine these two things? So it's like almost a perfect fit. And now we're training the next generation, but we're also building affordable housing in the same program, right? So yeah, that's my journey in a nutshell.
No, that's awesome. Were you at that meeting?
No,
right?
I came into the picture later.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't cross paths at that point. So my path, I didn't grow up in a construction family. I didn't have the opportunity that way. Everybody on my dad's side of the family, actually my mom as well, were public school teachers. It's public school education. That was my upbringing. Dad was a elementary school teacher. Mom was as well. My uncle was in curriculum development for Simcoe County District School Board. My grandmother was a kindergarten teacher. Both aunts, like everybody was in education.
Wow.
And it's interesting. We were talking about, the stigma around the trades and there being an image problem with that. And I think I'm of the generation where that was definitely the case, because when I was going through high school, it was, you had your basic, general, and advanced streams in high school. And depending on what your grades were like, that was going to determine, whether you were advanced or general. I was, my parents really emphasized academics with me, so I went advanced on everything. And when you would sit down with the guidance counselors, if you're in the advanced stream, the only options that they showed, well, at least me, they showed us in the advanced stream was university course catalogs.
Yeah.
They'd lay those out in front of you. And there was never a vocational school, never a college. It was all university, right? If you were in the general stream, they're breaking out all the colleges and all the vocational schools. So there was definitely a sense that, okay, if you're in the advanced stream, if you're academically minded, you're going to get a white collar. You're going to go to university. You're going to get a white collar job. So because that was just the reality, when you're that age. In high school, you just trust the people who have been put in charge of your path. Like, we don't know any better.
Exactly.
And that's what I did. Okay, you guys are telling me that I should be going to university, so I went to university. I went and did an English, Lit, and creative writing degree, and I don't regret that. It serves me well in a lot of instances.
But no job waiting for you when you finish.
100% no, right? 100% no.
I just want to footnote that. That's all.
Absolutely. Great in that sense. Really, realistically, I think if you wanted to make academics your career, if you wanted to make a life out of school and the university level, then do the university, do a master's degree, then pursue that with a PhD. I ended up working part-time at Chapters, the bookstore, when I was finishing up my degree, and then opportunity just came up and I ended up there full-time. I was with Chapters, working in retail. I was a general manager with Chapters for a long while, and loved that because I love books. It was just a natural fit. But eventually the shiny finish on that wore off. It loses its allure over time.
How many years did you do that for?
That was probably going to be 8 or 9 years.
Well,
I would
that's
say.
a long run.
I was in there. Bunch of different stores in around the GTA.
A lot of books to read.
A lot of books, right? But and I've got really fond memories of that time. But there's certain realities to retail. We had a 2-year-old at the time, so brand new young family, and full credit to my wife, who could see that change happening in me, the disillusion, the lack of satisfaction with what I was doing, the demands of a general manager when you're running a big box store. That's a full-time gig, and they want to own you to a degree, and that's okay. But with a young son, I want to spend time with my family. So I had, growing up, part-time jobs. There was a lot of those. There was a lot of summer jobs. But we had a friend, one of my dad's best friends was a painter, professional painter. So he was third-generation painter. His dad was painting. His grandfather was the painting foreman for Timothy Eaton. So he's got paint in his blood, right? So we would do part-time work and help him out sometimes in the summer. So I grew up doing that on occasion. So I knew, and also the time where I was working as the GM in the bookstores, any of the renovations, any of the work that we had to do in the store, you could certainly pull out of your budget to pay for repainting a section, do a drywall repair and paint a section, that got dinged up or damaged by customers. Or if you're handy enough, do it yourself, save that and put that towards your bottom line, right?
Of course.
So I was always doing a little bit of work that way, certainly on our own home as well. So as I said to you, full credit to my wife, we had a conversation and I said, I don't want to do this anymore. I said, well, what do you want to do? So this is where there are certain trades out there that are they don't require that the ticket. They don't require the license. I'm not talking about going and being a plumber and becoming an electrician where I got to go to school. So you can literally hang a shingle out and call yourself a painter. That's a double-edged sword because there's lots of dudes out there who have no business calling themselves a painter, right?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Totally. Yeah.
But it certainly benefited me because I had a little bit of a background, enough in it that I knew that I could do this and that I enjoyed it. So that's exactly what I did. I started with one client. We were living in Keswick at the time. I had one client up in Sutton, and she was a godsend. She just threw work at me constantly. And from there, it just started to branch out. We eventually moved up to Elmvale. That's where we live, so a little bit 17 minutes away from our shop where we work.
Okay.
And that's where I'd been based for the last, so I would say 13 years. I had my business up there, and it was painting and renovations. It sort of evolved into general renovations out of just the pure painting approach. And just before COVID, things had started to slow down for me. The business had started to slow down. So that, I guess it was 2019, the summer was decent for me workload wise, but I had very, very sparse schedule on the books for the fall, and I had nothing planned for the winter. There was nothing coming in then. And talked to my wife and said, we're at a point now where I don't think it's a case that we can just sort of hold on and wait for the phone to ring and bank on that. So I need to start to look for a job. I need to go to work for somebody for however long that might be. And a friend of a friend connected me with Brandon, sat down and interviewed, got hired on as a foreman and went to work. And then I think about 2 months later, everything came crashing down, right? Everything locks down. And I know, like, we did not stop. I think that's probably common right across the board. Like COVID, nothing stopped. Everybody was being run off their feet, construction wise. Yeah. But I know that had I been out on my own still, the painters, I think, were probably like those independent painters who were doing residential repaints. They sort of suffered the worst, because nobody wants you in their house during that period of time. So I know that would have been hard. So it was, there was divine intervention in place where I had the right timing to step in, and I haven't looked back since. I was a foreman out on site with CB for, I would say, a solid 2 years, and the person who was teaching the construction curriculum in the training program left to pursue another opportunity. So there was an opening there, and Brandon and the program coordinator approached me and asked, would you take on the construction portion part-time, so go in the mornings, teach construction, then jump back out on the site and keep running the sites. Absolutely, sure. Had an absolute blast.
It sounds like fun.
It was absolutely, it's been the best time. What I got the opportunity to rewrite the curriculum, to basically hit everything that I felt was going to be really important for the trainees to know when they were working in the training center and then working out on our sites. And then afterwards, like as that primer to basically step out. So I got an opportunity to put my hands in, so that, like I said to you at the beginning, that my family is it's all educators. So there's probably some genetic coding in there that's
divine intervention,
predetermined to do this.
Exactly. Yeah.
He's so humble too. He doesn't talk about these skills that he has, right? You kind of just notice them and, hey, you want to do this instead?
They need to rub off on a bunch more tradespeople is what they need to do. Yeah.
So, and that sort of brings it up to date. Like I'm doing the construction full time now. There's a team of us in the training center. I teach the construction skills along with a construction somebody who's there as a helper, and we've got a program coordinator who's teaching all the job readiness skills. So as a team, we're there, for 12 weeks doing all the training for them to get them prepped and step out.
Valuable stuff, man. Like this is huge. I don't want to knock all the construction books that are out there, because I mean there are some good ones and I flipped through some of them, but I get the sense that anybody that's new coming into construction feels they could probably get 50% of the knowledge by reading or seeing social media posts, which I don't think is true.
I saw an interesting, I am not an educator by any means, but I saw this interesting learning triangle not so long ago. And at the very bottom of the triangle, meaning you would learn the least that you would take with you, it was all around reading and lectures, which is typical of school. Hands-on experiencing was at the very top of the
that's where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
And that's what you guys do too, right? Like
absolutely.
You're still teaching, it's there, but the hands-on is extremely valuable.
Yeah, and it doesn't take any qualification to put a video on YouTube. And there's a lot of good stuff out there. And like what I listen to Matt's messages, like you can jump on the hacks and do all that stuff, but you need to know the basics first, right? Mm-hmm. Just because there is framing guns, you still need to know how to use a hammer, right?
I heard it described that, like, in terms of teaching and learning, and there's a difference between what we do and the learning you would get, say, in a university lecture hall. There's the difference between the sage on the stage and the guide on the side, right? So you want to be the guide on the side, so the person who's literally there at this person's side helping them out. There's got to be a little bit of foundational learning at the start. So maybe in the first 3 weeks, there's more of me as that person up in front and teaching some and lecturing and providing some foundational pieces of information, because I'm a big believer in understanding why, right? Ground everything in why we do things. Why do we build the way we build? Why are we using these tools? Why are we using these tools in this fashion? If you understand why, if you can answer why, that helps to provide so much context and ground everybody in what they're doing in that moment. Right?
And that's great advice for all the foremans out there, all the supervisors, all the business owners, right? How when you were coming up, how often were you told just do it? And when you asked why, they said, because I told you so.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So we often just say knowledge is free. Why wouldn't you want people to know how they're contributing to the job, understand the end goals of the job? All that is the stuff we were talking about being able to toggle up to get people up to speed a lot faster. Like share what the project is about, share what the goals are about. We've adopted this kind of mantra around you watch me, we do it together, I watch you. Like that's how you learn, right?
That's how you should learn.
You should learn.
And you'll pick it up really fast, and then also all your questions will be answered.
Yeah.
Until the next problem.
Yeah.
Because the reality is, I don't think our trainees are any different than any of us or anybody else, stepping into a construction job, green. They want to get hands on tools. That's why they're here. Like they don't want to sit in a lecture hall. They don't want to sit in a classroom. And our trainees, people coming into our program, some of them have had really poor experiences in school. So it can be a bit of a struggle, but I try to emphasize it. It's important to understand some foundational pieces, some key pieces of information. If you can sit through this and you can absorb and you can understand some of the safety pieces that I'm trying to teach you, then we're going to get to the point where you're going to get hands-on tools. And if I've been able to see that you're invested and you're engaged and you're asking questions, that tells me that you're processing that information. It's registering, it's helping to lock in, and that's going to enable me to trust you a little bit more when it comes to stepping onto that tool. Because the reality is these are all new to a lot of our folks, and there's not a single tool out there that doesn't want to injure you in some way.
It'll
right?
bite if you don't know exactly the tool.
Absolutely. So having that, being willing to engage in all aspects of the learning, I think is hugely important. But the goal is to get them hands-on because that's what they want to do. Right?
I would encourage the new people coming into construction, because this happened to me recently where I came across some old structure books, like paper's pretty amber, you know what I mean? And I was flipping through some of the details, still relevant to today.
100%.
Right? And it's just like all through my high school years, I was studying draftsman and architect, and that's where the path was headed towards that. And so I'm not saying that I didn't return these books. I'm just saying that these books somehow showed up there, and there's a little bit of a Dewey Decimal tag on the back. And
We won't ask questions.
just won't ask questions. There's 89. Don't worry about that, right? But I was really fascinated that you can flip through this and see these details and get a better understanding of what the starting process of this is. So if you are a framer, if you're a carpenter, or if you're a mason, you can see these details and start to wrap your head around that. And that will just propel you to ask a bunch more questions, because you'll connect the dots from being on the paper to being on the site.
Yeah.
And you really need someone there to kind of guide you from that point to point that you guys just mentioned.
To get back to your original question, there's good learning to be found in all different sort of forms of media, right? But there's a lot of pitfalls there too. Right,
I call them sales pitches.
It hasn't been hard. It's still not hard. It's hard to sell a book these days, but it was never hard to get a book published. There was a period of time where like anybody could pitch an idea to a publisher, and you'd get your name on a book. You'd get that in print. Honestly, there's a lot of shit books out there with a lot of really bad information, just as there's a lot of really bad information on YouTube, on any of the social media sites. So you got to be cautious and informed, and that's part of that challenge when you're just stepping into new to this. It's that being able to figure out what is correct, what is good information, what's bad information. And so you want somebody who's going to help be a bit of a guide in that sense to provide that.
I find the good information stems from the experience, the trials and tribulations that come from, right? It's just how it is. It's so often. I get it that maybe you go down this path, but it didn't work out. So now we figured out that this doesn't work out. So we're going to shift gears and we're going to try something new. And then here's the experience that I'm teaching you now, that this is how you should go down.
I think like problem solving is one of the biggest things you can teach people, right? That critical thinking, because it's so easy. Again, you know, in different roles that I've been in, and I'm sure we've all been in as you step up in your career, it's easy to be the guy that comes to site as the supervisor and just says, here's how you solve the problem. I got to go to the next job. Second you get into it, it's a bigger problem, right?
Yeah.
So it's not always about knowing exactly what to do, but how to find that information or how to solve that problem, right? And the other part I was just going to say about what you were saying, Matt, is like everybody learns differently. So
Yes.
this is another way that you can get stuck by just saying, nobody wants to learn or nobody wants to work, or I'm just hitting my head against the wall. It's like we have to figure out better ways to communicate to people to get the best out of them, right? And if you stay stuck thinking your message is getting across and it's not, you have to think again, how are you going to solve that problem? Get the best out of this person. Maybe they're a visual learner, maybe they're a hands-on person. Like everybody learns different. And again, that's been part of my learning journey and watching you guys, you know, have breakthroughs with people.
And I think part of it too, here again, this is one of those things that differentiates us from a lot of the other training programs out there is, you know, you take a training program being offered through one of the colleges, and I'll preface this by saying I'm not knocking these training programs because they're awesome. They're fantastic. They've got fantastic training centers, and you know I bleed every time I see some of those training centers. You know, pictures and the photos of them. We've got a fantastic training center. We've gone through a huge upgrade on there. But the challenge I think that they face is that for the most part, from my understanding, is you know, you step into a program like that, you spend the entirety of your time, maybe with the exception of a few field trips, you spend all your time in those four walls. You're in that training program, right?
It's not the best.
The challenge I find is that those people are ill prepared for the reality of a job site.
Yeah.
So this was baked into the program before I even stepped into CB. The way that we work is we have the trainees in the training program. They spend 3 weeks in the training center with us. That's our opportunity to really hone in on some of that foundational knowledge, really make sure they've got all their safety training, go through all of the tool training, and start on the processes, start on the tasks. But after that, weeks 9 through 12, they're out on site. They're out working. So because so Brandon said we're a social enterprise. So we're a training company and we're a construction company. So we're doing renovations, we're doing builds, and our construction crew are our trainers. They are actually taking trainees alongside them, and they're working with them. It's one of the best learning opportunities because they get to see, our trainees get to see the real life problem solving going on, because there's a huge difference between doing a custom build, brand new custom build, where for the most part, let's say you are scripting everything. You've got control over everything versus within reason. Yeah. Versus a renovation or remodel. We're going to do a basement second suite, and we're going to demo this basement, and now we suddenly find all the surprises in the walls, right? Nothing's lining up, right? We've got buried wires. We've got like whatever the nightmares are that you have encountered when you pull buildings apart. Well, how do you deal with that, right? Mm-hmm. So our trainees get to see that real problem solving happening in real time, and see what the reality is. So I think that's a huge important piece to the program that we run to help to differentiate between a lot of other programs, is to help prepare them for what it's going to be like when they leave the program and get a job in a construction company.
I totally agree. How did you guys get over the liability concerns, I guess, from parents or other people that would look at throwing a little one into a job site, right? Job site's only dangerous if it's not a proper job site.
Exactly, right? So as long as you're following all the due diligence around safety protocol, and everybody, like, you know, they're all adults too, where we give the best information that we can. But I'm proud to say at this very moment, we've never lost a digit, so must be doing something right, I guess. But that time may inevitably come, right? That happens. And accidents
but it happens on professional job sites 100%. All the time, right?
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah.
So. Absolutely.
That's what they say. It's usually on inexperienced people or the most experienced people. Right, because you get complacent sometimes.
It's true. The funny thing, you talk about parents, I would say I haven't experienced a parent interaction yet where there is concern or they take issue. We do a lot of work on maintaining safety of the trainees, certainly in the training center, and then when they hit site, when we do that transfer out onto site. More of the conversations that we have with parents are of the sort where they're so happy to see their kids working, getting up early, physically taxing themselves, coming home with a sense of satisfaction and a sense of pride, that there's just a general joy on the part of a parent to see their kids engaged in that level, and they're going to stand behind it and help support wherever they can.
Are you seeing the kids bringing in their other circle of friends too, or that's kind of happening on its own?
Referrals are huge.
Yeah.
Yep.
We had, I think, 100 applications in both cities for 22 spots again, 4 times a year.
For you guys,
and
man.
we're barely trying. So it's just exposing the level of problem. But the excitement, too, is that people are looking to the trades as a viable career, right? The problem for us, to be honest, is like we're growing quickly. I think we're like 65 staff or so in the 2
You guys having another
locations.
big meeting on the growing part now? or
Man,
what's
well,
going
that's
on?
the learning part for us too,
Yeah.
right? But like you can see, so part of our philosophy too is we try to keep those trainer-trainee relationships or mentor-mentee to like one-on-one at its very best, 2-on-1 at maximum. And because we all know, like, you can't have 6 people watch one guy paint a wall. They're not learning anything. So we value that relationship. So the more skilled labor that we have on our team, the more people we can train and the more work we can do, right? It all kind of comes together that way.
Give me the top 5 that the new kids that are coming into the industry, they're looking at. What trades are they gravitating towards?
Framing, plumbing,
Yeah, for sure.
electrical, and I would say drywall. That's,
Drywall.
Yeah. So and it's funny because they're looking at, so take plumbing and electrical. They've cottoned onto those as a high dollar value trade, right? So they're
And
being
they are.
driven. They're being driven by the paycheck in that sense. Those who are coming in with the desire to frame, more often than not, I would say 99% of the time, that's thanks to Instagram and TikTok, right? They just
Do you
make
get
it
them
look
to shovel plywood when it snows? So they can at least experience that
100%.
before being on a job
100%.
site?
We actually do a working interview as part of our intake, and we make them load up a wheelbarrow real heavy and run a little relay course. We call it the CBX
awesome,
games,
man.
but we want them to have that experience,
Yeah.
right? It's not easy.
The issue around that is, so they have this idealized version. I talk to you about Instagram and TikTok. They curate what they show you, right?
course,
So
yeah.
they've got this idealized, totally, in some cases, totally unrealistic expectation of what it is to do that trade. And the minute they get in, and I'll be honest with you, I'm honest with them, and I tell them, like, what you've seen is not the reality. You're seeing the highlight reel. You're seeing the fun stuff, right? But when it's 25 below and the wind is screaming at you off the bay, that's gonna suck, right? It's absolutely gonna be a heinous job.
You're not picking up a sheet of ply by yourself.
When it is 30 degrees in the middle of August, it sucks equally, but for a different reason, right? There's a reality to this, and so we give them the opportunity to experience that. That this is one of those good things about having the program structured the way we do, where they get to work on our job sites. We're not in an air-conditioned training center. They're out on job sites. It's the reality. They experience it firsthand. And so more often than not, within, I would say, by about the halfway point in the program, you ask them that same question, like, what do you want to do? What trade do you want to focus on? And they have shifted. They've had a chance to try their hand at something else.
We're trying to, the reason for that all is to build a little resiliency in people, because I would
But it's also self-discovery too, right? You
100%,
never know,
absolutely.
right?
I would also argue being chained to a desk all day long sucks equally, right? So
Yes.
where's your passion and where do you get value out of, right? I think a lot of people get a lot of intrinsic value in watching something go up, right? That's why I know I enjoy framing that way. You leave at the end of the day and you see a wall go up, that visually it means a lot, and you're contributing to the bigger picture. So
No, I agree with that. That process of testing the waters, of trying these different trades out. They're like I said before, they're dipping a toe. It's not the full exposure, but it's enough to give them an idea.
But it's a realistic idea.
It is a realistic idea, and it's a bit of a test of their mettle at the same time, right? So put them under a bit of stress, and what happens? Does that desire break, or is it strengthened? Yeah, this is absolutely something that I want to do.
Is part of that curating happening to them? They want to look like a tradesperson, you know what I mean? Like they want to put on the uniform, so to speak, but do they understand that tradesperson, whatever trade it is, that tool belt is in its way presented for purpose? It's not presented for aesthetic value, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, do they understand that a tradesperson throws on those safety boots, throws on those workwear, throws on a safety vest, or a tool belt that's harnessed or not harnessed or whatever, and how many pouches you have? Every trade has a purpose behind what the uniform is responsible for. Or are they really eager about putting all this new stuff on to just stand as if they're a tradesperson, and they get this misconception?
I think the reality is there's a little bit of excitement there, right? Certainly when
You see a lot of Carhartt coming in on.
That's what I'm
day
going
one,
at. Is like you can look at a real tradesperson and everything is just weathered and worn, including the person, for a reason. You know what I mean? Like that pouch and whatever, the tool, the hand tools, the power tools, they're designed for a reason. Instead of you just grabbing something brand new that's styrofoam wrapped and putting it on you, you have to have the experience for you to look like a tradesperson.
Yes, absolutely. Right. But I mean, every one of us had that tool pouch was new at some point,
totally,
right?
Yeah,
That impact driver was.
I remember being the guy that shows up with new boots. You heard about it, right?
Yeah.
But I think like now there's such an excitement around like the development of the tools and things, right? Like when Milwaukee came out with the Paco, like everybody's got one now.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And like the advancements in power tools, like it's a competition now, right? So it's cool to see.
But I don't want them to go down that rabbit hole that, I'm a plumber, so I have to get all this stuff. I need every single possible kind of pack out. I need a pack out for my Trident. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to go down that road where
I think there's a healthy understanding of investing in those tools is investing in yourself. That and I think like when people make that decision, that means they're choosing this as a career. It's no longer a job, it's a career, right?
In the early years of being a tradesperson, you bought certain things because you needed that item to solve a certain problem.
Yep.
There was always purpose behind what you were acquiring, right?
Yeah.
And at some point, you start making good money and you're building a business, and now you can get more toys that will help you be more efficient, right? But I want the new people coming into construction to understand that you can get started. Like you mentioned about working in Africa there, there's like hand tools, like things were still built.
Now there on the other end of that spectrum, there's an unhealthy expectation that we should always have the best tools available and everybody should have
Doesn't make you a better
need.
skills tradesperson though.
No.
I'll argue that to death, right? You can give the best battery worm drive saw on the market to the worst framer and they'll still butcher it.
And that's the point. Nobody knows how to hang a door anymore because they all come pre-hung, right? And
I don't like pre-hung. I can't say pre-hung.
It's funny because I just had this conversation with the trainee cohort on Monday because we were going over, or was it last week, going over a selection of power tools, just starting to talk about them, get hands on them. And when you see, like, we lay all the power tools out.
Was it a rainbow?
No, there's a lot of red in there, I will admit. It's kind of
I'm an
monochromatic.
ex-yellow and I signed on for it.
Okay, I get it.
It's kind of monochromatic. There's more red than anything else. But when they see all those tools laid out, and we just for fun one day, we just ran the numbers and priced everything on there. When by the time I lay all my tools out and everything on there, there's like 12 to 13 grand in tools.
Yeah, I believe
in front
it.
of them. So
I believe it.
It's easy for them to look at that and say, well, this is what I need. This is what I need to become this person. And so the conversation we have with them is like, no. So you've got a very basic set of tools that you're going to start with, and you're going to build from there. And there's different philosophies around the acquisition of tools, but I think the safest one for them, I think for most of us, is buy the tool that you need to do the job now, right? And then you
borrow the tool that someone else has so you can learn the skill.
And on the expensive tools, go and rent them. Let somebody else worry about the maintenance on those, right? But you build your arsenal of tools slowly.
Yeah.
Right? Don't bankrupt yourself because you feel you need to look like Buddy on Instagram, the Milwaukee Addict, right? That nobody's starting out that way.
I'd rather see the work that you accomplished with those tools instead of all the tools that you accomplished at work with. That's just me. I'm sorry. I'd rather see the work. I was just getting messages from Simon out west there, and he listens to the show, and he was showing me this project that he's working on in Kelowna, and he was like, man, he's just like shiplap ceilings and 8-foot high doors and 2.5-inch thick solid, and he was just like, it was just all quality work, and he was like, this is just taking forever. And then he started showing me some of the tile. He's not even doing the tile, he was showing me some of the tile, and it's just like, I didn't pay attention to any of the tools on site. I was paying attention to the work that was being performed by the skilled tradesperson.
Yeah,
that's what is valuable to me. That's sort of see it, because I think that if you have a shit tool or a good tool, the work can still be accomplished.
And make it work. That's
absolutely.
And I think a good skilled tradesperson that learns, you eventually got to get there. Like we talked earlier about 5-7 years, you will eventually get there. Nobody will ever see my first drywall application because I needed a sander to sand that. Like that's how bad it was, right? Like, but it's horrible. But now I know how to do it. But you learn. It takes time to learn that process, right?
Yeah. I think the skilled craftsperson is going to be able to make that tool work regardless of the quality of the tool, and they're going to turn out a quality job. It might take a little bit longer, but that person is going to appreciate the investment in a better quality tool. It's going to help them do the job quicker, help them do the job better next time around, right? That's the reason to upgrade, to invest, is it's helping you out. It's an investment in your work, your livelihood.
It must be such a kick for you guys and everybody else that's working with you guys, to see that spark when the new person finally sees the potential. Like they actually, I'm sure that in the beginning it's a lot of like, I'm messing up. But then all of a sudden there's this like little brief moment that they finally get it. And then you see it, it's
those
captured.
light bulb moments are awesome. They are awesome.
It must be the greatest feeling.
I remember this as clear as day. We were working on this big modular project, and we were a little bit behind schedule, so we needed to work some overtime and on the weekend. And I just asked a few of the guys if they were willing to work an extra day, and I asked some of the trainees that I knew were interested in framing, and 2 of them were like, hell yeah, like they were there the next day, right? And I couldn't believe the eagerness. But so when we got on that job, you know, because I'm not on the tools every day, hardly ever, but I try to contribute when I can, especially if we're doing something new. So here I am, I got these guys, they're hungry to learn, we're framing walls, we're sheeting walls, and every step of the way I let them participate in it, let them watch me, did it together, and that confidence on the skill saw after they're doing like full rips on 8-foot sheets, and they're like, I'm doing this. Next thing I know, they're gluing and screwing the floors on their own, like every step, right? But it took slowing that job site down a little bit. You know, it took a little bit of my time, but by the end of the day, you saw that time back for yourself, right?
Totally.
Because you can get so discouraged and like, oh, you don't know what you're doing, give me that. It's easier for me to do it. And that's another mentality that's contributing to, you know, not passing on that knowledge. And sometimes it's super frustrating. I can, you know, be honest about that. But if you can slow down and you're in a good mindset, help somebody understand and just watch them flourish, right?
There's always a runner who trips and then comes back and wins the race.
And that's so, you know, I took that and I said to Matt, like, man, we got to save like all our scraps. It's literally so valuable for them just to run the saw through as many times as they want, right?
Yeah.
Until they get that action and they can follow that chalk line or whatever it is, right?
But also pull the reins a little bit. Don't get too cocky too quick. And then all of a sudden, right?
Yeah,
Absolutely. Right.
Before you cut the countertop.
Because then you could just talk about how there's plenty of projects that you're going to be tackling, right? So you want to be a part of those projects, right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
you got to earn it to a degree.
So what are you guys talking about now? Like figuring out, because it's going to start to grow to a point where it's going to be, it's not unmanageable, but it's going to get bigger and bigger, no?
Yeah, so we're
It already is.
Yeah, we're very much considering what it looks like to go into another community, and again, I think we have a model that works, and if we can support other communities that have the same problem, this is a good solution, right?
100%.
Yeah. The one of the challenges, I think, is around structuring it the way that we have, where our construction crew are the trainers. So getting your construction skills, that's a lifetime acquisition. That's a lifetime path. Leadership, management for people in a foreman position. Leadership is a totally separate set of skills, right? And not everybody's set up to do that. Training, equally the same. Totally separate set of skills. And so part of the growth for us is setting up a series of curriculum for training our trainers to be better at that job. Because the beautiful thing, I think, is that everybody who is here at CB is here because, as Brandon said, they recognize that we're doing something a little bit different. There's a purpose to what we're doing. It's not your typical construction company. It's very atypical. So there is a desire on everybody's part who's out on the tools in the field to be here. That doesn't necessarily translate to having the skill set right off the bat to be able to take a trainee and work and know how to work with them. Everybody has different learning styles, and being able to do the job doesn't mean that you can necessarily teach that and train that. So the fact that they're here says so much, I think. So there's a lot of work to be done, and we're starting to invest in that in terms of building a curriculum around helping them to be more effective and more confident in that role as a trainer.
It's about building the business around it too that supports it, right? So we get a lot of calls often like, we're interested in your model, how do you do it? And it kind of, went from, have some grit, be an entrepreneur, put one foot forward, to understanding like, this is the software that we use. Here are the job descriptions, like getting really granular with it, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what people want to know. And when you think about expanding and the scalability of it, you have to package it up in a way that it makes it a lot easier. And
Totally.
I'm motivated to do that because this was hard to do, right? There's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that goes into something like this and being innovative and trying new ideas. And if we can help people learn that a little bit quicker and learn from some of our failing forward, that's what we want to do, right? So yeah, it's like such a cool thing that, we got people in the office, we got people in the program team, we got people in construction, and every day everybody wakes up to do better here. So I love our team. They're really inspiring, and like, I think that this works. So I'm motivated to do this and put it together in a way that is going to help other communities. Like I say, we're all dealing with the affordable housing crisis. We all have the skilled labor shortage to deal with. It goes even further than that when we work with our community partners who are out there trying to, develop affordable housing and keep people preventing homelessness. The best way to prevent homelessness and going back to jail is a job, right? I should often put signs, one time we got a ton of tools stolen, and I just wished I could have found that guy to say, hey, would you want a job instead? Like this guy,
Probably would have taken it.
Maybe.
You don't know, right? But I was going to ask you something. Like, are you guys, is anybody knocking at your door? Like, are you guys government-wise, or anybody like, you're doing it right?
Yeah.
But they're doing it wrong. I'm just going to say that. Like, how is that going to work with you guys? How are you guys going to navigate those waters?
We have some great partners, like, again, back to social enterprise. So we're like a blended revenue stream, right? We probably about 75% or 80% of the money we bring is from real contracts that we get in construction, right?
Yeah.
We're just doing jobs. The other part of that comes from our funding partners. So sometimes that's the federal government, sometimes that's the Home Depot Foundation. We just striked up a new partnership with Meridian Credit Union. Like people are seeing the value in investing in these solutions, and they're desperate for the solutions, right? Like that's all you see right now is people saying we need more housing and we need more people in the trades, right? So,
but I'm sure those conversations were probably really difficult in the very beginning, where you guys
were absolutely,
like, nobody probably was taking it seriously.
Like I mean, when we became nonprofit, like that was you think that's the answer to your like, I was very naive at first, thinking that the little profits off a construction company could cover all the good work that needed to be done, and it it can't fully, right? It's not sustainable that way. So for the good work portion, you really do need it. I mean, it's all good work, but for that specific stuff that's not bringing in revenue, like program positions and things like that, you need to find coverage for that. And in the first couple of years of building your business, nobody wants to fund you. I remember our first grant was like $5,000 from one of the colleges, and I thought that was amazing.
There goes lunch.
That doesn't, yeah, it's muffin money now, right? Like it literally doesn't pay one
It's
wage for a
discouraging
trainee.
because I know that lots of people talk of this kind of thing, and you guys have stuck with it, which is amazing because it's a testament at that point, right?
Yeah.
Like we know what we're talking about, and I've always said that it's the tradespeople, boots on the ground, that you need to speak to
Yes.
and listen to.
Yep.
They're the ones that know. I'm sorry, but I'm not going to say the suits. The suits in the offices are not necessarily the ones. They're going to assist with you later on, but you have to first get the tradesperson,
Yeah.
get that ball rolling that way,
Yeah.
right?
No, that transcends down to like the people that you're hiring, like whether that's for us trainees or the folks that, again, the employers are saying don't want to work. Like, why don't they want to work? You have to figure it out. You have to be willing to hear that feedback, right? You have to be willing to try new things and new retention strategies and things like that. It doesn't mean everything that they say is right and that you have to go, to that degree, but certainly staying in the position you're in of like, it should be this way. Well,
It doesn't
keep
move
wishing.
anything forward, man.
It doesn't move anything forward.
It doesn't advance, and then you don't get to leave a legacy of some sort. I mean, it's a huge accomplishment as a tradesperson who's getting out of the business that you left truckloads of knowledge back. You know what I mean? Like, that's monstrous in my opinion.
It's an exciting time to be in the trades, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of attention on it. People should feel proud of what they do. And like, we're really turning a corner, I think. So great time to do this work.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Is there anything else you guys want to share before I get to the 12 questions? But we covered quite a bit. And I guess, are admissions getting worse? Like, are they waiting? They have to be waiting now because you're not growing enough to get them in there just yet. So they're waiting to get in, no?
Like the waiting list for
Yeah,
our
to get
program.
people to- yeah.
It's definitely getting longer and longer. Yeah.
And they're willing to wait, of course, right?
Well, we do this every 12 weeks. So,
It's a 12-week program.
12
so every
week to kids is like a lifetime, right?
Totally. It's true. It's true. You're not wrong.
just before I forget, I really want to give a shout out to our general supervisor, Dan Fordham, and our construction manager, Ron No, who we really wanted to come with us, but they couldn't come today. They're going to find out the hard way. They don't know this is happening yet. But
Oh, you didn't even tell them about that?
man, we just
They'll
couldn't-
hear it and they'll recognize the voices and they'll be like, what the hell are we listening to here?
Absolutely.
Yep.
So we just want to give them a big shout out. Would have been great to have him here.
We'll do
And-
another show. We'll get them back in, or we'll figure out
Awesome.
something, man.
Yeah,
So-
we're gonna get them a hat from you after or something. Love
no,
you
it's
guys.
I love what you guys are doing because that's what should be getting done. Simple as that, right? You guys are doing it for a purpose, the same way that the kids that are coming in or anybody new in construction is coming in. Like, find that purpose, man. Totally find that
Our work
purpose.
matters, right?
And there's good people out there that will help you build that purpose.
I've seen that every day.
Yeah, which is amazing, man. So I just want to share www again, communitybuilders.co, and then on IG it's the same thing, communitybuilders.co, and then to reach them is info@communitybuilders.co, and then you can also find them on Facebook, and I'm sure you guys are probably connected to groups and everything like that in the area or what have you. People know about it on Facebook
Connected
groups.
to, I don't know about the Facebook.
That's a
part of
whole
it.
other world. I
I'm
know
off
that.
that stuff, and I feel free.
I'm trying. I know. Trust me, man. I'm trying to get into the same boat as well too. So, ready for this, guys?
Yeah, man.
All right.
What is your favorite construction word?
Well, we're stalled right off the start.
Is
This
it the
not
F
good.
word? Can I say that?
You can say any word. It doesn't matter. You can say it in any language. It doesn't matter to me.
I like resiliency.
Nice.
I was going to say grit.
Least favorite tool.
Drywall sander.
You mean a regular pole sander?
Yeah.
Things never evolved ever since it was designed. Well, it's evolved, yeah, but
I don't know that I have a least favorite tool. I guess like, damn it, maybe a router.
is it just me? Do I find plumb bobs therapeutic? Like, to watch it find its point, just to like, is there like some sort of
Opposed to setting your laser level up and
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
flick that
It's a
switch.
little
and then-
nostalgic, maybe.
Yeah, and I like
We-
just to let it dance there. I don't know.
We just did training on plumb bobs with the trainees yesterday.
Did they even know what you guys were pulling out
Hey,
at
12
first?
weeks
No.
is too short to do plumb bob training.
But it was cool in a sense to see how curious they were. You start talking about something that is old as the pyramids in terms
I was
of
just
the
about to say,
technique.
just throw the word pyramid into
Right?
the description of this, and then
and just in terms of showing them something that here's a technique. If your laser level craps out on you and you forgot your spirit level at home, grab your plumb bob. It's gonna work for you every single time until gravity stops working again for us. You got a tool that'll work for you, right? That's just funny.
sorry. What were the least ever tools? Which one?
I said-
I think I'm going to change mine to shop vac.
Sorry, what was yours?
Drywall sand.
Oh, the drywall
Sander.
sand. That's right. Yeah. What construction sound do you guys love?
I laugh. It just makes me think of impact drill. Because I remember when my daughter was, I don't love the sound, but I remember the first day my daughter came to work and the impact drill was going, she cried her eyes out. And so I just
That?
remember that, the rattle there.
I'm gonna go old school and
what's on my
say
mind.
a hand plane on wood.
That's a nice. That's. I'm going back to therapy. Favorite beverage?
I'm gonna be plain man water.
Can't beat a Miller Lite.
There we go. What turns you on and off in construction?
I would say off is just, the negative attitudes. On is the people that understand their work matters and they're contributing back to the greater good of the industry and the community.
Totally.
Yeah, I gotta agree on the turn off there. Negative attitude is just it gets tiresome, toxic after a while, right? Having that positive mindset, situation might not be ideal. You can find a silver lining,
Totally.
right? And turn on the person like having that grit, that determination. I'll go back to that.
Favorite curse word?
Fuck.
Yeah, fuck.
Go to. Favorite vehicle? Any mode of transportation?
I'm a truck guy through and through.
Which one?
I have a F-250.
Yeah, truck as well. I got a Dodge 1500 right now.
Sorry about that.
Raptor and what's the Dodge one? What they call the
Oh, yeah, I'm not
the
sure.
Ram? Oh, I'm butchering it. All the
Yeah.
Ram guys are going to be upset now.
Work truck, though. You don't need any of those fancy...
What do you guys miss from your childhood?
not being responsible for stuff was nice.
Yeah, I would echo that one.
It's shared quite a bit. What profession other than your own would you guys like to attempt one day? You're doing dual jobs now, no? Kind of. Several jobs.
Yeah. Honestly, man, I told you my search for purpose there, so I feel very lucky to do what I'm doing. I'm not fantasizing yet about anything differently, but
Awesome.
yeah, I look forward to the day where I can try to do something different,
I came into this via painting, and I've loved every part of it. But there's always been this desire in the back of my mind, if I could not necessarily do it over again, if I had the opportunity, red seal and carpentry. I
Still
have,
time. You can
I
do
have
it.
admiration.
You'll get razzed. You'll get all the shit jobs.
Yep.
What profession would you not like to do, guys?
Oh, buddy, I think we got the same one. We watched a sewage ejection pump back up the other day, so we're both not keen to be plumbers anymore. I don't
Man,
think.
that's like the worst. Man. That's a bad one. And you can't even smell a vision that, eh? Like but you know what it smells like.
So
right?
Matt was an absolute champion, and plumber was out on a call, so he handled about 90% of that. And what an example to like everyone in the company to see that happen, and all the trainees. I won't go into any graphic details.
Taught a lot of
It
lessons.
was awful.
Yeah. Taught a lot of lessons. Last question. If heaven exists, what would you guys like to hear God say when you arrive at those pearly gates?
Welcome, good and faithful servant.
100%.
That's all you got to say. Simple as that. Gentlemen, thank you so much. Great to finally meet you, and come back anytime and bring more of the team if you guys want to come back.
Appreciate it.
You guys are
man.
doing good
Thanks
and
for
keep on
having us
doing
here.
good, right? So
Right back at you.
keep on shaping everybody, right? So I just share a mic, I record. That's all I do, right? So I enjoy myself. I love talking to people about this and what they're doing good. I should start bringing in dicks, eh?
Yeah. Well, that'd be exciting, I guess, maybe.
Like just disagree with them on every level,
Save
right?
that for reality.
Nah, no, I'm not gonna do any of that, guys. Keep it honest. It's awesome work. Anybody who's interested, reaching out. I'm sure you guys are accessible if they got a question or two, whatever, and they're trying to plan for the future, or whatever, and they're just curious or even want to come by and do a visit.
Yeah.
I just want to test the
Want to
waters.
know more, collaborate with us.
Totally.
Best way, go on the website, reach out. Someone will get the message to us. Sign up for our newsletter, that kind of stuff. Keep
Awesome,
informed.
man. Communitybuilders.co and then info@communitybuilders.co and also on IG under the same tag. Thanks, man, Brent. Really appreciate it, man.
Thanks, Manny.
Thanks so much. That's it. We're out of here.
Peace. Sweet.